On today's CHGO White Sox, we'll talk about Chris Getz changing the infrastructure of the White Sox, and we'll talk about my big, dumb brain. Sunnyside Thursday. This is the CHGO White Sox Podcast. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO to get 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Exclusions apply. Welcome in. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. We're coming to you live from Chicago. I'm stuck at my home because I am still sick. Kenny Powers noting that we are late, and we are because my brain is fried. Welcome in again. I am Sean Anderson. We are being produced, thankfully, today by our pal, Sarah. Sarah, why don't you just say hi if you can? She's actually probably too busy. Hello. Sarah is the MVP of this show already, and this show is 1:40 in because about, 13 minutes before showtime, I looked at my phone that was on Do Not Disturb, and I had a missed call, a voice message, and 2 text messages from Sarah saying, "Hey, are we doing a show?" I was at Walgreens buying Gatorade, a neti pot, cough drops. I was trying to, get this voice better because for some reason, at 12 o'clock, I did think I was working at 4. And then at 2:30, I decided, you know what? There's actually probably not a show today. So I just decided to stop working completely and prepping for the show. So we're late because my brain's fried. Yeah, I'm 100% sure I have COVID.
Yeah, I was like, you're like sick as a dog right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Monday and Tuesday were 100 times worse. Fever, ache, chills, you name it, like very, very bad. In the past 2 days, I felt a little bit more energetic. Like, I kind of have a little bit of energy here for the show.
Right.
Thankfully, it's only 30 minutes and not a complete hour. But yeah, I totally screw you over. I don't get you the headline and description until 5 minutes before the show.
I told you, I can get this set up in like 5 minutes if you need. I was like, I'm ready to go.
And you did. So congrats to you. You got your crap together today. But yeah, we are late because of this. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Appreciate Sarah because if she wasn't there to pick up the ball, I definitely was dropping it. And hey, traffic from the living room was a nightmare. Ian saying, "Hi Sean, hope you're good. Will you be covering the news of Sergio Santos getting promoted?" I have one thing written down, and I was going to talk about Chris Getz. And honestly, Ian, because you're asking it right now, and my brain has been so ADHD with COVID, I will absolutely talk about Sergio Santos right now because Chris Getz, we got time to talk about him. The whole thing that we're covering is Chris Getz was on the recap podcast with Ryan McGuffey and David Kaplan, and I thought that he came off really cool. I thought that he was honest. I thought that he was intelligent. I thought that he was very forthright. I think he was everything that I want in the team I'm rooting for, GM. And obviously, I know he has the connection to Jerry Reinsdorf. I'm very, very aware of it. I'm not trying to look at this with rose or lime-colored glasses. I'm trying to truly just say, Chris Getz got this job. He is the GM of the White Sox. I want him to do well. I'm trying to be impartial, and that's mainly just because of Jerry Reinsdorf. If this was just a brand new GM and we didn't have the ties to the owner like we did, probably be a little bit more gung-ho about Chris Getz. But there definitely is a hesitancy there, but the hesitancy to like Chris Getz is wearing off a little bit. I thought he came off really great in that interview, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but that's going to be the main part of the show today. Ian asking though about Sergio Santos. I think it makes sense, especially with Jershly being named the third base coach. The guy just won the Southern League Championship. Giving him a promotion is only what makes sense in the world. Promotion, when you do well at your job, you get promoted, you get a pay raise. that is just how the world works. So I think it makes sense that Santos moves up to Charlotte. I just don't know what his true prospects are when it comes to being a major league manager. I think that the next step from here isn't, AAA manager to major league manager. I think it likely has to be like a bench coach to manager pipeline for him. So this might be a very long road for Sergio Santos, who clearly or seems to be angling to become a major league manager. That might take him still 5, 7, 10 more years to actually get to a point where he is a major league manager. But, good for him. He did well, did a good job with the Barons last year, and he was able to, get a promotion. And I think it just makes sense that Santos is now the manager in Charlotte, especially with Jersley being at the major league level. On today's show, again, we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, Chris Getz. And speaking of my COVID brain, it's about an hour and 23-minute conversation between David Kaplan, Ryan McGuffey, and Chris Getz. And the thing with my brain is it's not really lighting up. I have ADHD and my brain likes to light up. It likes to get that boost of whatever it's called, dopamine. It likes that boost of dopamine, and then I could really lock into something. And I was having the trouble yesterday locking in. You could see that if you were hanging out on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel, you could have seen me in the Bulls chat. I was saying hi to Will and Dave because I was like, oh, the Bulls show just ended. Great. And then I asked Will a question about trade machine proposals because I saw Joe Cowley said that, me and Will Gottlieb have been putting together probably more trade machine proposals than the actual Bulls front office. So I was like, I really wonder how many trade machine proposals Will has put together. And then I submit that comment, then was like, I got to go to X. And then I saw Connor Bedard scored a goal. And then I got distracted about Bedard being close to 100 points before the age of 20. So then I had to look up all the players that scored 100 points before the age of 20. And then I wrote into the CHGO Blackhawk show, watched that show for about 10 minutes. And then I had to go to something else completely different. I really just bouncing off the walls. And it's really tough to focus in. The reason this connects to the Ryan McGuffey interview is because it's an hour and 23 minutes. And even if I listen to it on 2x speed, I get probably 3 minutes in and then I pause, have to take a note. That note distracts me. I have to go to Twitter. So I got about 18 minutes into this interview before my ADHD brain totally messed me up. And that was about the time when I was like, I don't even have a show today. Why should I watch the whole thing? So I think I got about 20 minutes of the Getz interview properly digested. We're going to talk about what I took away from that today. And then also I do want to share one thing that somebody who clearly listened to the full thing picked up was Beefloaf saying the story he told about the guy not wanting his autograph is a good enough kick in the plums to him for me to feel even, because I've placed a wager with Beefloaf for a little lunch at the Billy Goat. And it's basically that no one will sign, no free agent for the White Sox will sign for more than Andrew Vaughn's arbitration numbers. We're not leading off with arbitration numbers because we did get 4 arbitration numbers for the White Sox today. That is completely boring. So we're going to jump over that. Vaughn avoids arbitration. He signs for $5.85 million. Everything else is just very minor moves. I think it's Justin Anderson, Steven Wilson, and then one other one. So minor, it doesn't even matter. But right now, especially with Perez being the highest, or now Perez and Rojas being the highest at 3.5, looks like your guy's getting a free lunch, which I need. After I recover, after I bounce back, I'll need this free lunch. And maybe I'll finally have the time to listen to the rest of this interview. But Getz, a guy that has played in Chicago, a guy that is now the GM. I mean, someone turning down your autograph, it's pretty brutal. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from Chris Getz is that he's very aware of the situation. I think that's what I said at the start of the year when we come to New Year's resolutions, is that I want the White Sox to really just embrace this. Like, the White Sox fans aren't stupid. They clearly know that this team is atrocious. How to fix the team is definitely debated, and some of the takes on that are dumb. But I think Getz has a true sense of what needs to happen, and I don't think that Chris Getz is listening to the outside noise. From what I've been able to gather from people that covered the team, it seemed like the guy that used to run the team for 15 years very much listened to outside noise, very much sought out the opinion of others and fans of what he did on the job. I think Chris Getz is aware of how bad this team is, and I think that he's kind of putting his head down and working. And I think that if you went up to him and you try to have a conversation about the White Sox, I think he'd probably honestly give you the time. And I think he'd probably be willing to do that. Like, he seems just like a decent, just a decent guy. And not saying that Han wasn't, but it did seem like Han did build up some sort of wall around him where he was going to let in the praise and all of the outside noise when he wanted to, and then he could easily shut it out and just say, you know, we're looking down on you. It feels like Getz is just aware that this team is so bad, he does need to do a little bit of PR. And when it comes to infrastructure, it's not the sexiest topic. He's clearly aware of that. He says exactly when McGuffey brings it up that Chris acknowledges that it's not too stimulating for the fans to talk about the infrastructure of the organization. But he talks about hiring Bannister, talks about the new head of international scouting, talks about the new academy that they're making, the renovations that are happening to Camelback Ranch, the new major league manager, Ryan Fuller, the new head of pro scouting, the reshaped R&D department. At 8:10, he says, do you guys even have computers? Joking about the R&D department, which again, you know, hey, guys got humor. And he says that they have 15 plus people in the R&D department and that they're bringing in individuals in and restructuring the front office and that this isn't for next year. It's for something sustainable. And the biggest thing that I took in the first 20 minutes that I ended up talking or listening to, he said that Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and Minnesota have built their undercarriage years ago, and that you see the success that Cleveland has consistently year in and year out. It's because they did this 14 years ago. Kansas City, we talked about this when they got Witt back in like 2022 when they hired Cacharo, that they also did similar stuff of, you know, building out that infrastructure. The Twins do a great job. I mean, I loved Kevin Goldstein of Fangraphs, and he's now a part of their organization in their front office. Like, they've always been on the cutting edge of trying to find people on the outside edges that could come in and bring a fresh new perspective to the White Sox. It seems like Chris Getz wants to be ahead of the curve, and I am excited that it does seem like Jerry Reinsdorf's meddling, unfortunately, worked out. I mean, his batting average is probably like 1 for 50, 1 for 75. I'm not old enough to really go through his 40 years of ownership to know his exact batting average. But, you know, hey, you take 50 swings, you're bound to hit one. And I think that I don't think he's like the best GM in Major League Baseball, but he might unfortunately have been the best person for this job. Like, it seems like he could talk to Jerry Reinsdorf. It seems like he's very aware of how to present things to Jerry. And with that, I know that this isn't something we like talking about, but there was an article or a graphic that I know can't find, but it shows all the teams and how much they've spent since 2021. And I am aware of the context that 2021 and 2022 were competitive years for the White Sox. So they were spending more than typical of what they would spend. But I mean, they're, I think since 2021, like a top 10, top 12 team in total payroll. Like, I don't think it's absurd if Getz is able to take this current thing that he's building, give it 10 years to grow, propagate, and then by 2027, he has a team that's at least finally got 80 wins. I think, again, this isn't about right here, right now. I'm not going to be talking to you in 2 months about a White Sox winner. I'm not talking to you in 8 months about a White Sox winner. I'm not talking to you in a year and a half about a White Sox winner. But it seems like once we're talking about a White Sox winner, we'll just be having White Sox winning baseball. That's the hope. That's the goal. That's the dream for any general manager. But all of my complaints about the failures of Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams were they didn't have depth. It seems like they tried to plug holes where they could, but they were really just relying on Robert, Moncada, Aloy. It seems like Chris Getz is like, we're going to have to be adaptable. We're going to have to be able to change our plans. Like, it feels like somebody that is just in the driver's seat completely, is not driven by doubt, and can kind of freely put himself out there comfortably. I don't know. It seems like a really good leader, and I like that. Christian said Jerry got lazy after 2005. I don't know what that means. I was 8. What was Jerry doing in 2003? I mean, it seems like he stunk. Like, I don't think that anyone was like, oh, you should have seen Jerry back in 1994 when he was striking out the players and ruining the team that was leading the AL. His team was leading the American League on their way to a World Series. He's like, we got to strike these players out. They're making too much money. Anyways, we're getting to the 15-minute mark. I'm going to take a break. We're also going to try to favorite some of these comments and get to your thoughts in the comments after the break here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Mando. Mando is the best deodorant that I have used. Mando is a men's deodorant brand that is hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. Every aspect. And you can put it all over your body. The one thing that I've tried a lot of deodorants. There's one that is a natural brand. And I saw that one stained every piece of my clothing. Just a white residue all over my clothing wherever I applied the deodorant. There's other ones too that just don't actually cover up scent. Mando not only doesn't irritate my skin, not only cover up any stench, it's works. I mean, that's probably the best and easiest personalized advertisement that I can give you. Mando overtly calls out the more colorful parts of men's bodies, such as pits, belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, and grundles. I'm not too comfortable saying that. So I'm just going to read it and act like it's not my words, it's their words. So, I mean, you could put this all over your balls or your grundle or your pits. Don't make them smell. They won't. Mando. And also, our friends over at Mando, we're giving you, most importantly, a discount. And not only a discount, you can also get their starter pack. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers can get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% of your starter pack. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMADO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Sorry, Jim. It's a great product, and I didn't do the best read there. But truly, I just got to give you my personal endorsement, 2 thumbs up to Mando. It's natural deodorant that works. All right, let's go to our friends at Shady Rays as well. Shady Rays, get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. And they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, let's get into the comments. And mainly Victor Von Doom bringing up that he's stoked that Mark Burley will be attending SoxFest this year. The Sox did announce multiple people that are coming back. Hall of Famer Harold Baines will be coming back. Jose Contreras will be coming for SoxFest Live 2025. Mark Burley, Freddie Garcia. Then the other ones are current players: Brooks Baldwin, Mike Tauchman, and Gus Varland. So, yeah, I mean, I let you behind the curtain. I was more excited for SoxFest when I had 2 other coworkers here. We had thoughts of doing live broadcast from SoxFest, and I haven't heard back from the Sox since those 2 people have been gone. So I definitely feeling worse about SoxFest, and that has nothing to do with the actual event. If you're excited for SoxFest, let me know too. I know Melissa is going, but I don't know if Melissa Sox Mom in our Discord is even excited about going. I know that she's a huge Sox fan and is always down to do something Sox related, but I don't know how excited she is at this point, even though she is signed up for it. So if you are going, let me know. But yeah, with Getz and getting back onto that, there's a lot of talk, and especially on like that comment section specifically, and it's been brought up in our comment section as well. that it's like all this talk, it's just talk. Like he's like, I get it, but like if they went out and just signed Santander right now, like and spent money just to effectively shut up the whiners, that doesn't make them a better team. Like they could go out and spend all the money that they want, but that was what they were doing. Like them going out and throwing money at the problem was what Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams effectively did. In 2021 and 2022, they threw money at the issues that they had. They tried to throw money at catching problem. Yasmani Grandal come and fix it. He couldn't stay healthy and he was an ass. He was at least nice to Herb and gave him the knee brace. So shout out to Yas for that. And then Keuchel, they needed a lefty starter. Let's throw money at the problem, and he stunk. With right field, not necessarily, because one of them was a trade, RIP Steele Walker. But, going out and getting Mazzara, not even throwing money at that problem. I guess they could have spent a little bit more money there. But even then, the next year, they go out and get Eaton, and they didn't even, boost the, what's it called? The offer up to Peterson, because I think Peterson wanted 10 mil, and then Eaton ends up signing for 7 mil. They couldn't even shell out the 3 million there. I don't think that was necessarily Jerry driven. I think they want to, especially because Rick was such a contract guy, I think Rick wanted to look like a smart GM. I don't know if Getz is trying to do that. I think Rick was always trying to prove to Kenny, like, hey, look how good I am. With Chris, I think he's just trying to build a winner. I don't think there's any distractions in the front office anymore, which I think is just the best for the White Sox. Like, do I trust Jerry Reinsdorf? No. But I mean, they won 6 titles with the Bulls. Like he meddled a ton, brought in Tony, and I will never forget that. But like, is it impossible for this to work? I would say no. Like, what are the likelihoods that MLB's prediction that in 2033 the White Sox are going, MLB.com's prediction or guess that the White Sox would win the 2033 World Series, I think over the Pirates or something, would happen. I would probably put that at like 0.0001% that the White Sox win the World Series in 2033. Just such a random shot. But I think that they could have a truly cultivating winner. And if you look at what the Dodgers were in my childhood, the Dodgers are not what the Dodgers are today. And I always thought of the Dodgers as Kirk Gibson, 1988. I always thought of them as Sandy Koufax and Jackie Robinson's team. Like I never, ever thought of them as the Death Star. It was always the Yankees. And now it's kind of crazy to even think about a world where the Dodgers just don't dominate baseball. And it's happened very, very quickly over a dominant, 12 straight year run where they've made it to the postseason every single year. And they have 2 World Series. So even if they are the White Sox turning this thing around, bad in 2025, all right in 2026, decent, maybe even competitive wild card in 2027, they could win the division from 2028 to 2020 or 2032 and not even win a World Series title. That's the toughest thing about making those predictions even before the season, making them 8 years in advance. But even it's just everything has to go right for you. And I think that, again, what Getz is talking about is not getting the best talent or, getting the best deals. It's about being adaptable. And if things don't go completely right for you, what is next? Or how do you adjust? What's the counterpunch to that? And I think that it's exciting that Getz is a little bit more of a boxer in a ring rather than a guy in a gym. It felt like, Rick Hahn was always fighting the bag where Getz is actually sparring. Do I have any more notes from this? There was this other thing that I did want to bring up and talking about how Chris knows how to talk to Jerry. Guff asked him, when did you realize you needed to reorganize the organization? And he said at the end of the year, I don't know how truthful that is, but what he brings up was that at the beginning of the year, he put together a committee of new employees, people from outside the organization and people from outside of baseball ops that met weekly from April and on. Getz wasn't always a part of the meetings and wasn't really saying, hey, this is what we need to do, guiding them. But they told him where they were deficient at. And then at the end of the year, they presented it to Chris, and then Chris brought it to Jerry. So I think eating words about Caleb. I've been painting my nails since they drafted him. Sorry, again, ADHD. I think that, again, it's tough to say, have faith, this might not work in 2 years is tough, but the whole point of this team that I had issues with was there wasn't depth, there wasn't the ability to sustain the injuries, and it didn't feel like Rick could really kind of fix the boat if they sprung leaks. I feel much more excited in our captain, in Chris Getz, to maybe fix some of those leaks. All right. That's going to do it for at least the Chris Getz part. I got about 5 more minutes, and there's something that I feel like I could rant on. Oh, here's the other thing I could bring up, at least with Getz. Baseball America did put out something where they asked scouts anonymously which organizations are the most scout friendly. The White Sox were 8th on that list, 27%. Dodgers were 1 at 81%, Padres 73%, 3rd Royals 58%, 4th Rockies 50%, 5 Yankees 46%, Phillies and Rangers tied at 6 at 38%, Rays at 7 at 35%, White Sox at 27%, National Reds and Tigers at 23%, and Diamondbacks at 10. And then there was also which organizations are the best at identifying talent. Dodgers were 1, Padres were 2, Rays were 3, Yankees were 4, Orioles and Phillies were 29, Royals were 21, Brewers, Rangers, Tigers tied at 7 with 17%. Braves, Cardinals, Guardians at 13%. Diamondbacks and Mariners at 9%. And Athletics, Reds, Rockies, Twins, White Sox at 4%. So, hey, barely. I mean, they're pretty much like at 15 with all those teams now tied. But I wanted to bring that up because there was also another part from Baseball America where they talked about how who were the worst teams, and the White Sox were second on that. So definitely some of the I think lingering stink of Rick Hahn. Which organizations are are the worst at identifying talent. White Sox were number 1, 50%. They got 12 votes. 24 scouts responded. The White Sox got 12 of them. So on one half, you got 12 scouts saying that the White Sox are the worst. And then you got, I think, probably one person saying that they're the best. But I do wonder how much of that is just the lingering stink of Chris Getz, or of Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams. Because, again, I think that Mike Shirley's drafts, even under Kenny and Rick, were fantastic. And then the drafts so far under Chris have continued to be fantastic. I think that their drafting has been worlds better from how bad it has been from the Courtney Hawkins days. So I'm thinking that, again, just reading tea leaves, it feels like we're going to see the sunny side of this soon. Yes, it's just me now. Then to the next part. MLB.com, MLB Network put out the best relievers in the game according to the Shredder. And they put Devin Williams, now the Yankees, at 1. 2 was Cade Smith of the Guardians. 3 was Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals. 4 was Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians. 5th was Mason Miller of the A's. 6, Edwin Uceta of the Rays. 7, Tanner Scott, who's currently a free agent. 8, Kirby Yates, who's a free agent. 9, Jeff Hoffman, who's also a free agent. And then 10, Raciel Iglesias of the Braves. I find it hilarious that you have a guy that was voted by MLB writers as the 3rd best pitcher of the American League. And in this ranking of niche position player or pitchers, where Cy Young is just all pitchers in general, you have Emmanuel Clase ranking in 4th on this list of relief pitchers when he's 3rd in American League in total pitching in 2024. And he is 2nd on this list for Guardian relief pitchers. Like, was not all of the conversation in 2024 about how Emmanuel Clase is just the next Mariano Rivera, but he throws 100? Like, where did this all go? Just because of the Yankee series? I think it's hilarious how rage bait that actual list is. Who is the Shredder? You're never going to know, because they could just make up some BS and throw it on a list and people will get upset. But also, like, what is that in reality? Devin Williams is not better than Emmanuel Clase, and you don't know ball if you think that. Anyways, that's going to wrap up the show. Thank you very much to Sarah for producing this show. Thank you very much to Sarah for being on her feet, because if she wasn't, there wouldn't be a show today. Thank you very much for everyone hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. There will be no show tomorrow, and we are unsure about next week at the current moment. So we will talk to you soon for the CHGO White Sox Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.